Hello, good morning. My name is Richard Linane. I'm head of the Biological Weapons Convention Implementation Support Unit based here in Geneva. I'm very sorry I'm not able to be with you in Como for this very important workshop. Unfortunately, one of the consequences of the success of the Implementation Support Unit, which I'll talk a bit more about shortly, is that we can't be everywhere. So I hope you're having an interesting discussion. I'd like to contribute a little bit by video. Because I think that the Biological Weapons Convention does in fact play quite an important role in building these sorts of networks and making these connections which you're talking about in the course of this workshop. The intercessional process that has been established under the BWC has really been quite effective in getting many more and a broader range of actors involved in talking about these kinds of issues, biosecurity in particular. The role of the Implementation Support Unit has also been important. In fact, it's a key part of our mandate to facilitate communication both among the states parties to the Biological Weapons Convention and between the states parties and other relevant actors, international organisations, for example, NGOs, academic institutions, but also professional and scientific associations. And this has been one of the more fruitful aspects of our work over the past 3 or 4 years. To talk a little bit about how the BWC actually engages, or how the BWC serves as a forum for engaging different actors and getting them involved in biosecurity networking. It's mainly done through our intercessional process. As you probably know, each year the BWC has a meeting of experts, usually in August, and a meeting of states parties in December. And those meetings are devoted to a particular topic each year. In one year, 2008, for example, the topic was explicitly biosafety and biosecurity, and also oversight of science, building awareness among scientists. That's particularly relevant, but in fact every year we have a large number of not just government representatives, but representatives of other organisations, other networks, other activities involved in our work, whatever the topic of that year's meeting may be. Now, what does that mean exactly, having people come and get involved in our meetings? Well, although our meetings are devoted to particular topics and we eventually develop a report and so on that lists some kind of common understandings and we hope leads to effective action, personally I think one of the main benefits of holding the meetings and getting people together is just for the simple network effect of getting people to meet each other, to talk to each other and to exchange information. That information doesn't need to be exchanged through the formal sessions of the meetings. I think a lot of the most effective work we do actually comes about from meetings held in the margins and in the coffee breaks. But that just underlines the fact that the most important thing is having these kind of forums, these opportunities to get people together and to get the relevant experts involved. As you may know, one of the things we've tried to do in our meetings of experts is to provide more opportunities for the experts to actually interact. This is very important because we found during our first few attempts that experts would come to Geneva on the promise of stimulating and interesting discussions and find themselves sat in a big UN conference room listening to long speeches made by diplomats. They didn't think this was a particularly effective use of their time, and we had to agree. So we started things like the poster session, for example, where we'd have a poster session attached to the meeting of experts to give the experts, the real experts, an opportunity to really interact and find out about what they were doing, to talk in detail about their particular expertise and projects, for example. This has been a great success, very popular, and it's something we want to do more of in future. The other aspect of networking that I wanted to talk about is what we do in the Implementation Support Unit, and that is, again, one of the reasons I can't be with you today. We spend a lot of time going out about throughout the world, different countries, different activities, different seminars, different meetings, to talk to people, to talk to scientists, to talk to practitioners, to talk to biosafety experts, to talk to law enforcement personnel, other government officials, to talk to commercial industry, about how they can get involved in the work of the BWC and how they can contribute. This has been, I think, very effective. It allows us to get to places where perhaps the message is not very well received so far. There are many seminars and activities in Europe, there are many activities in North America. I think both those areas of the world are very well aware of the biosecurity issue and the need to engage scientists and the need to raise awareness. And I think on the whole, scientists in those parts of the world are reasonably, relatively, aware of the risks and of how they can make a contribution. But that picture changes dramatically once you get outside Europe and North America and into the large parts of the world, the developing world. Latin America, Africa, Asia, Central Asia. All these are places where we have a lot of work to do to engage with the scientists there, to engage with government officials, with NGOs, to partner international organizations, to get our message out and to build networks in those regions. We're doing our best to encourage countries in Africa to do that. I'm leaving very shortly for a workshop in Abuja in Nigeria. Following that, I'll be going to Beijing. My colleagues in the ISU are also very busy in different parts of the world, raising awareness, making contacts, building that network. And I think, while of course it's very valuable to have discussions in Europe and in North America and to talk about what needs to be done, there's really often no substitute for getting out there and making face-to-face contact and networking with the people who work in the laboratories, with the people who manage science policy at a national level, with medical professionals, with biosafety experts, and so on. One of the particularly promising areas we're working in now is to develop our contacts and to build relationships with scientists on the real cutting edge in the area of synthetic biology, for example. This is an opportunity to get in at the ground floor, if you like, to get in right at the beginning of a developing area of science and to build those links so that they grow as the field and the discipline itself expands. We've had very positive results in making contacts with synthetic biologists and with the government agencies that are also working with them to work out how to manage the risks involved in this very exciting area of new science. I think this is something we could perhaps repeat in other areas, but certainly our experience has been very positive when we're dealing with scientists themselves. I think things have really shifted from 5 to 10 years ago when our engagement with scientists in the BWC was somewhat limited to the old dialogue along the lines of, well, you know, we are scientists, we don't want any restrictions on what we do, we don't want governments dictating to us the limits of our research and so on. Science must be free. We certainly agree with that, and I think that the great progress we've seen over the past few years is the realization from both sides that there's nothing to be feared, and the input of scientists and science is welcome in the BWC. The BWC is an open forum where scientists can come and share their ideas and talk about the role they can play. Not that they need to defend anything, not that they have anything to be afraid of, greater regulation or anything, but it's somewhere where they can come and make a positive contribution to managing these risks. I'll stop there because I find it quite odd talking to a camera, but I trust that I've given you some ideas for further discussion. I know you have many other experts with you who can take up some of these themes. But certainly something to keep in mind as we move to the future is that we do have our review conference of the BWC next year, the 7th review conference. And this will be a big opportunity to set new tracks in motion, to come up with new ideas for how to further build and strengthen these networks, especially in the developing world, and how we can really get scientists more positively engaged and build on the very positive work we've seen so far. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a constructive discussion.